So the first thing, Karam Sanyas. Sri Maharaji, he puts action. And action, of course, is governed by your motive. And the motive is according to your intellectual understanding and the quality of the gunas that are governing your heart and mind. So 4 areas have been mentioned in the Vedic philosophy that everyone can come under these different categories. One is Vikarma or Akarma. The second is Karma. The third is Karam Yoga. And the fourth is Karam Sanyas. So the Vikarma, we say a Vikarmi. One who practices karma, we say a karami. Karam Yoga is a Karam Yogi. And Karam Sanyas is Karam Sanyasi. So the first 2 of the 4, Vikarma and Karma, they bind you to the wheel of birth and death, period. So Vikarma is contrary to Vedic philosophy. It is not to acknowledge in any shape or form the presence of the divine, of the Atma, of God. It is to do what you want to do, as you want to do, how you want to do, without any understanding whatsoever of the consequences of the power of thought. So what you consume in terms of drink and food, what you do in terms of recreation and who you associate with, the people who come under this category, they've just simplified their lives down to trying to do what they like to do and trying to avoid what they don't like to do. They have no real understanding at all that every thought sets up a reaction. And the reaction, the consequence, the karma, is according to the quality of the thought. So, if you live your life as a Vikarmi and you just completely identify with your body, death is something that you don't give much thought until maybe some family member dies and a little curiosity into your mind, oh, I wonder what happens after death. And that's it, you don't care much. And so Maharaji said of the 4, the first category are the most bound. Whilst they claim to have freedom, they don't at all. Nobody tells me what to do, I do what I want, etc. But they completely overlook the laws of life, that you have to eat, you have to drink, that you have responsibilities. If you put the wrong food into your body, then illness comes. If you drink too much or eat too much of anything, then definitely disease comes. If you lie to people, you get people reacting, oh, this person's a liar, don't go near them. They're always boasting, etc., etc. But they don't think, why is it happening to me? They consider themselves to be a victim. I am a victim here. This is not fair. This is bad luck. Oh, that's good luck. It's an extremely precarious situation to be in. And we have all had our turn there, and we are doing our best, are we not, to not fall victim to that. The next one, karma. Well, karma has its subheads too. You know, in the introductory speech, I talk about all the different subheads according to the Vedas, about prayaschit, actions of atonement, kamya, karma, actions of wishing and desire, etc. But basically, the one who comes under the camp of karma is somebody who has a spiritual awareness, be it not based on the depths of what you can achieve, in fact, ignorance really, because many people will take karma and utilize God for their own enjoyment. Bless my health, bless my wealth, bless my family, bless my crops to grow this year, and they'll do rituals, etc. It's still better than the first class, but it binds you to the wheel of birth and death. And you know, the weight of consequence of uncountable lifetimes, thought processes that are called sanskars that haven't yet undergone their consequence. We all know it's waiting at some appropriate moment for these consequences to come in our life, and we'll think, why is this happening to me? As Maharaj gives the example, somebody works really hard in a labouring job and gets paid a pittance. Somebody else works maybe a fifth of what this person is doing, sitting behind a comfortable desk, and they get 1,000-fold more financial response than the one who's working so hard and getting a pittance. People say, well, you were born with a silver spoon, you were bad luck, good luck, and on it goes. So in other words, there is also the impressions of our past lives waiting to come as consequence in a particular life, whether it's in this human form or any other life form within the wheel of birth and death. So those first two, Vikarma, Karma, bind us. That's the first thing to understand. The mind is so powerful, extremely powerful. You can mine the depths of the mind and you can gain psychic powers, etc., etc. The yogis, they work hard to achieve these siddhis, these powers, but it all binds you and it's all temporary. It will rise up, fade away. And something else will take its place. It's just like the constant waves coming in onto the shoreline. Each wave has got its own different shape, its own different look, its own different power. It makes a boom sound. Others just come in smoothly. So now we come to the next two categories. I'm speaking fast because most of you are very familiar with this philosophy. We come to Karma Yoga and Karma Sanyas. Now Shri Maharaj says here, these two actions, they will liberate you from the wheel of birth and death if practiced properly and if under the guidance and care of a genuine Mahapurush, saint, guru, spiritual master. So what's the difference between the two, Karma Yoga and Karma Sanyas? Well, Karma Yoga is to do your actions as an offering, as a devotion. I do it like, do your work, but do everything for me. So you are in the world, so to speak, but you understand, under the auspices of the guidance of the Guru, I'm doing my action and I'm doing it for you. Arjuna, in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the beginning of the Mahabharata war, where he refuses to fight the war, and there's this conversation with Sri Krishna about this very thing. What thoughts take you where? What do you want? And so he's tempted with being a virtuous, righteous man, doing karma, and if you lose your life, you'll go into the celestial heavens. If you maintain your life and win the war, why, then you'll be restored to the royal family and you will rule. Yeah, he says, that's not going to, is that going to bring me the divine happiness? Well, no, it's not. Well, what do I have to do? Karma Yoga. Fight the war, but don't fight the war. Meaning, do the actions, but do it for me. And I will free you from the consequences in a material sense. I will take responsibility for you and take you beyond the wheel of birth and death. Such is the power of Karma Yoga. Yoga, to unite, join with the Divine One. And a Karma Sannyasi, Sri Maharaj, he says, both a Karma Yogi and a Karma Sannyasi attain the divine nature, the divine state, the divine experience. But of the two, Sri Krishna gives more importance to the Karma Yogi because they remain in the community and by their actions others can benefit from what this person is doing, whereas the Karma Sannyasi is a renunciant. I renounce. But Sri Maharaj says Karam Sanyas is very hard. You hear about such personalities, they withdraw maybe to go and live in the cave or to live above the snow line in the Himalayas, or they live in a hermitage, or they go into an ashram and I'm not going to engage with the world. I'm going to be away from it. Well, that's a certain type of person, and the qualities and qualifications for that are more severe than a Karam yogi, and yet the outcome is the same. Sri Maharaj explains, you can call yourself a Karam sannyasi, but your mind is still running on the world. You can be in the cave, you can be in the ashram, you can be in any situation where you withdraw from society physically, but where's your mind? So, considering this, Karam yoga has to have bhakti. This is what our Sri Maharaji explains to us as we go deeper into this, that bhakti yoga, Karam yoga, is to serve, to immerse, to give of yourself. I've heard Maharaji say that when you do sadhana, devotion, there is Karam Sanyas Bhakti and there is Karam Yoga Bhakti. He's just explaining this from the point of view that when you sit in your chosen sacred moment, your hour or however long you do your devotion for, hopefully you are slowly working on increasing that time as it permitted, as you can, then this is where you say to whoever's in your orbit, this is my time. If you don't mind, this is where I am nurturing my spiritual nature and my understanding of self. So I'm going into my room here, I'm going to close the door. Please don't knock on the door and disturb me. I'm turning my phone off, I'm putting it at a distance so I can't see or hear it. I'm going to either sit quietly and breathe into the name of Radha and do Rup Dhyan, or I'm going to read Sri Maharaj's writings, or I'm going to play a kirtan chanting and sing of the divine natures of Radha Krishna and the Guru without disturbance. Whereas Karam Yoga Bhakti is okay, I'm putting on my work clothes, I'm going into my office, I'm leaving the house, I've got to travel by bus, I've got to drive to there, I've got to have meetings through the day, I've got to talk with a whole wide variety of people and engage with them. This is where you practice making that also an offering. Arjuna was told during the war, a war, do it for me, put your mind on me, put your faith in me, put your love in me, and do what you have to do. And our Maharaji explains Arjuna was a saint actually. And when he released his weapons, etc., on the enemy to protect his community from tyranny, to fulfill his role as a kshatriya, a warrior sworn to protect his people, he put all those arguments first. I don't want to fight, let me die and no. You know the whole story, and if you don't, well, we'll get through it in another session sometime. So he, in this most extraordinary, the most dramatic, violent environment, was able to do Karam Yoga. Now that is quite an accomplishment. But his guru was Sri Krishna, and he was no ordinary soul, as I have mentioned to you. But we can take from that, we can understand from that this is possible to be achieved. This is the ideal. This is what we move towards. So, Karma Yoga Bhakti or Karma Sanyas Bhakti is to create a sacred environment with no distraction. Karma Yoga Bhakti is to go out into the world and do your work, but do it with the presence of Guru or Radha or Krishna or all three, making it an offering of what you are doing. Karma Sanyas. The aim is not to say, well, I'm going to renounce. The aim, in fact, is I'm going to fall in love with Sri Radha Krishna and make them the pole star of my life. I'm going to make them the focus of my life. I'm going to do my devotion as per the instructions of Guru. I'm going to try to improve myself on a regular basis. I'm going to self-analyze and say, how did I get on today? How can I improve on what I did yesterday? Oh, by increasing Rup Dhyan, by feeling either the presence of the Divine Ones in the heart with you at all times, as Maharaj would say, you feel I. Always, don't you? I'm dreaming, I am eating, I'm talking to you, I'm driving the car, I. So we are habitual to that way of thinking, and now we say, oh, the Divine One, we, for you, my Divine One, you are seated in my heart, and I'm bringing you close by remembering you and offering my life to you. Through the years, you know, I've seen satsangis, as we call ourselves, devotees is another term, sadhaks is another term, people wanting to take the high road of sannyas. They soon realize they're just words. I want to be a renunciant. Why? So I can surrender to God quickly? Well, that's not a bad thing. I want to surrender to you quickly, but how? Where are you going to take sannyas? How will you withdraw from society? Where are you going to go? What bus takes you away from community? What bus takes you away from obligations and responsibilities? Where can you just drive around the corner and you're in an environment where your mind doesn't run, ooh. So don't think too much about that. Think on what Sri Maharaj is prescribing, the spiritual doctor of this age. Radhe, try and remember through the day, feel the divine presence either within, taking note of all your thoughts. And that can be to your benefit. For every loving, devotional, spiritual thought you have, that's also giving you consequence. Any thought that forgets them entirely and you think on the world, well then that gives you consequence. That's why Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, in fact, if you go about saying, I am the doer, then I'm not getting involved in your life. Carry on. But if you come to me and offer your life to me, then I will take complete responsibility for you.